Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the VUCA Insights channel. Today we'll be talking about Frontken Berhad. What is their business model and how do they actually make money? What are the growth prospects for them in 2026? And what would be their likely course of action when they have warrants conversion that will net them roughly about 2 billion Malaysian ringgit in May 2026? For those of you new to this channel, my name is John. I'm the founder of VUCA Insights, an equity research-based company. I'm also the author of an upcoming book called The Malaysian Multi-Baggers that will be talking about Malaysian companies that have at least 10x their shareholder returns over the past 20 years. And it should be out in Q1 2026. So Frontken Berhad, as a business, what do they do? I would call them the super janitor of the semiconductor and also the oil and gas industry. These are two niches that they are currently focused on, and prior to that, they were doing cleaning for even general industrial equipment, things like big machinery or turbines for the power generation industry even. So they'll To sum it all up, they're actually a surface treatment and mechanical engineering services company. Now, there's a lot of words, a lot of jargons. What do they actually mean? Very simply, I use an example from the semiconductor industry. To manufacture semiconductor wafers, you need very, very complicated technical equipment. And what do they do is that every time after a certain manufacturing cycle, let's say 5,000 pieces or 20,000 pieces, I'm just coming out with numbers here just to illustrate the example. This equipment needs to be cleaned, needs to be refurbished and retreated so that they can produce optimal products. Now, this is where Frontken comes in, and they specialize, especially in the semiconductor industry, wet type of cleaning, where a lot of these parts from the machines are taken out. They are actually put in things like ultrasonic baths, chemical cleaning to actually make sure that these parts do not emit dirt, tiny particles that can contaminate the process of semiconductor manufacturing. For oil and gas, this could include even those big gas turbine generators, the rotors. There's a lot of wear and tear, and a lot of this wear and tear, these chips can actually reduce the efficiency of these particular machines. So Frontken's specialty is really taking these parts out, or maybe even cleaning in situ, that means at the machine itself, and try to make sure that the machines are operating at optimal condition. So over the past 9 to 10 years, Frontken has been growing its revenue or its sales in the high single digits to low teens kind of growth rate. But that's something that that Chairman Nicholas Ng has mentioned quite a number of times. He's not after revenue growth at all costs. He's really after this thing called margin expansion. And you can really see that in the gross margin expansion as well as net margin expansion. Because in the past, the gross margins were in the 20s to the 30s. Today, you've seen the gross margins rise all the way to roughly about 40%. And their net margins from the sub 20s, now it's roughly about 24-25% kind of net margin. So this is what margin expansion really is about. You do not need to grow your sales that much, but you enjoy that margin expansion by providing better value for your services. And I think this is what the company wants to achieve. So knowing that organic growth is not going to be great, what gets me excited about this particular stock is what are they going to do, because they're going to receive a big chunk of their warrants conversion that would be expiring somewhere within the 3rd of May 2026. And if a full conversion is taking up, that means all the warrant holders actually convert, it would roughly net them about 2 billion Malaysian ringgit in cash. And they've already mentioned a few times in public, they potentially have M&A targets both in the US or even JVs where they'll find a particular complementary cleaner. They are very specialized in wet cleaning, as I mentioned earlier, and the likely partner that they will try to pair up is actually someone specializing in dry cleaning. And this particular, they did not particularly mention who this company was. I'm pretty sure it's PNC for now. They actually have sites that pair up very well with one of their largest clients, which is TSMC for the moment. So all in all, knowing that the semiconductor industry has a lot of tailwind, and management has proven itself time and time again how they have managed to execute almost quite flawlessly. 2023 and 2024 was actually an oversupply, over inventorized period for the semiconductor industry, and 2025 is more consolidation. 2026, if the tailwind of AI still is there, infrastructure build up, or even if the AI tailwind is not there, the continuous hunger for electronification of our daily lives, talk about EV cars, talk about just personal gadgets that we commonly use today. I think the tailwind of semiconductors should not just be dictated by just the AI um, adoption. It has to be more than that, and I believe that's something that there's a lot of evidence pointing towards that. So, what gets me, interested to dig further and further is because we've seen where companies have stagnant in terms of organic growth. One of the best ways for them to actually grow is through joint ventures or mergers and acquisitions, because you do not need to acquire new customers on your own. The qualification process for semiconductor is not easy. Usually it takes anywhere between 2 to 3 years just to get qualified, to be on a qualified vendors list. And through mergers and acquisitions, you get the best practices of both companies. You also you don't need to spend time acquiring new clients, and this is where I think most Malaysian companies should try to adopt as well, because the Malaysian market is actually very, very small comparatively to, especially in a globalized industry, comparatively to Taiwan, to China, and to the US. And I think it's a step in the right direction. So, looking at the financials, I think I can't complain much about a company that has an addressable market globally. But let me know what you guys think about the semiconductor industry, and Frontken in particular, or any other companies that you think will benefit from this semiconductor tailwind in Malaysia. I also do research on other companies as well as industries where I think Malaysia has an advantage. So check out the other videos on this channel and let me know what you think about how should Malaysian companies actually start expanding outside of Malaysia, or should they deepen industries where there is a particular need in Malaysia that is not being served at the moment.